Hey guys, this is Josh from Grappling, and today we're going to talk about the effect of BJJ, wrestling, and grappling on Tourette Syndrome. Okay? Before, if you can like and subscribe, I'm a small channel and I really need as much support as I can get to grow this, and I appreciate it. Also, if you could share this video to get the message about Tourette awareness. I suffer from Tourette's, so if you see me ticking, I'm not high on glue or something. I have a Tourette syndrome, and it would be really appreciated to share it. Okay, so first let's talk about Tourette syndrome quickly, if you don't know what it is. So as you see, I got tics. So what I have is Tourette syndrome. And basically Tourette syndrome, it affects the nervous system, causing sudden repeated twitches, tics, and vocal sounds. Sometimes people go hoo-hoo, or they even swear. They'll go like crap, 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 crap. Every case is different. 60% of people with Tourette's also suffer from ADHD and OCD. I actually suffer from really severe ADHD, so I know that. It's also very common for people with Tourette's to have learning disabilities. And Tourette syndrome isn't fatal, but has a huge social impact on people, especially kids, as often they feel alone in the world against them, okay? So here's some other facts about Tourette's. People with Tourette's are 4 times more likely to commit suicide. Kids with Tourette's are much more susceptible to depression and anxiety. As well as kids and sometimes adults also have rage attacks. It's like their nervous system is being so overloaded by these tics all the time, and also maybe the social response to the tics that they often have outbreaks. I suffer that as well too, an adult. I'm more aware of it now, and but it's something that until recently I didn't realize. But yeah, it's something that people with Tourette's suffer from. And there's many ways to treat Tourette's, such as Botox, CBT, CBIT, and medication. They're not really effective, and there's definitely not a foolproof treatment that works 100%. Now, BJJ, wrestling, and grappling, and how it benefits people with Tourette's. So I did this video because I always notice that after a very hard workout, or good sweat, I would like a long, hard, good sweat with heavy breathing. It would alleviate my tics. And I even noticed more that if it was a grappling-based workout, a lot of the times my tics would be almost nil. Okay, especially after like a really hard wrestling practice, or even more like a really hard Brazilian Jiu Jitsu practice. And I have some theories why. Now, I've been practicing grappling arts for decades now, since I'm a kid, and I noticed every time when I did this, the severity and frequency of my tics would lower. And I've come to the conclusion that this is for a few specific reasons. Now, just to tell you, I'm not a doctor, but I understand my body. I'm over 40, I'm 43 actually. I've had Tourette's for most of my life, and I understand what's happening in my body after I'm having a grappling workout, okay? So let's go to the reasons. When you're grappling, especially jiu-jitsu, against another person, your body and mind think you're in a fight, and I think that they can't tell the difference between a fake fight and a real fight. And what happens is your mind starts focusing on winning and surviving, okay? And due to this, the body starts to close down any behaviors that aren't beneficial at the time, like tics. It's more concerned about releasing endorphins, adrenaline, and other chemicals, okay? With the goal of immediate self-preservation, winning the fight or flight, right? Now, this basically causes your body to forget any body function that isn't 100% relevant and vital to the moment. Once again, fight or flight, surviving. Now, I saw this most evidently in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and submission-based arts because of the positioning and the fact you're fighting off submissions or trying to put someone in a submission. And I always found, like, if I was in a practice and let's say we did 10 rounds of 5 minutes and I was getting submitted a lot, for example, I noticed that after, especially with a heavy sweat and a good stretch after, I noticed that I would definitely not be ticking. And I think a lot has to do with the fact that my body for the last, whatever, hour and a half, 2 hours, or an hour, whatever the practice length was so concerned about surviving the fight, that it said, hey buddy, you don't need to tick anymore. You need to survive this. Now breathe in, concentrate, etc. So I think that's one of the benefits. Now, another benefit of grappling-based workouts and grappling itself is the fact that grappling is extremely physically demanding, and it keeps your body very warm when you do it, and you're breathing very deep. You start to focus on your breathing a lot. Now, what happens is that all that oxygen's coming in, and after the workout, you have high oxidated blood, and your heart rate went up, and now it's focusing to go down. And because you're warm, you're breathing deep, you're relaxed after, because you might have had an adrenaline rush, etc. Your body all of a sudden feels once again like it was in a fight, and it's wondering, okay, what happened? I need to now get back to normal here. And maybe that's also another reason I stopped ticking after fights. Kind of like in a type of shock, right? Another reason is that grappling, wrestling, and BJJ, also judo, sambo, catch wrestling, shuto, whatever grappling or boch you could do, chidawoba, they're full body exercises, okay? Where you change levels, directions, body positioning, you're upside down, you're moving in very non-normal positions. And this requires the body to focus a lot more on movement and coordination, coordination is totally dependent on your brain. And all of a sudden, you have these incredible amounts of coordination you have to do with timing, etc. Your brain is saying, okay, I don't need to, I'm not concerned about tics now. I want to deal with the imminent task at hand, which is to finish the movement. Once again, going back to the fight and flight, about being in a fight, etc. So I think what happens is the nervous system goes from tics to gross motor to very heavy movement-based training, where all of a sudden your body and coordination are so much in tune that you automatically stop ticking during that period and after for a while. Another reason is training and grappling will build self-confidence, and a confident person is going to be will feel better mentally than someone's not confident. And confidence will have a direct impact on one's social life. Also, when you're confident and you're walking around, you're going to feel less anxiety about situations because you're confident about dealing with it. Now, in all forms of grappling, you're going to have a type of sparring. Wrestling calls it wrestling. Jiu Jitsu, they say, hey, let's roll. Judo says randori. But in the end of the day, you're going to do a type of fight generally without any striking. Now, when you do that type of fight, it's a real confrontation that you're actually going to be against someone who's going to try to beat you in that, whatever the rules of the grappling you're playing are. Now, that ability to deal and overcome the fear of confrontation will help people with Tourette's alleviate anxiety and ultimately place the body in a better relaxed state, which equals less tics in many cases, not always, but in mine it did as well. I definitely noticed if I was in shape, if I was wrestling and doing jiu-jitsu all the time, I definitely would be ticking less. And I think a bit has to do with confidence, especially when you go out. If you're really anxious about people looking at you and you're like, oh my God, I'm eating pasta at this Italian restaurant. I'm like, oh my God, that guy over to the left of me, he's looking at me. Oh, his wife just looked at me. They laughed. But when you're really confident in everything and you're not worried about confrontation, you're kind of like, screw that guy. I'm just gonna eat my pasta now. Can I get some extra Parmesan, right? So that's where we go. And this is another one that's, I think, very important when we speak about children with Tourette's, because I don't think there's a really better way that I can think for activity than through the grappling arts, and I'll explain to you why. Grappling arts generally are based in a class format or a team format, right? Where you wrestle with your team, or you learn jiu-jitsu with your class, or judo with your class, etc. Now, it could be hard for a child with Tourette's to get into that class the first time. He's thinking, oh my God, mom, dad, how about if people see me ticking? I'm really embarrassed, etc. And it might be that they get into the first class and a lot of other kids, because kids can be mean sometimes, but also kids can be a lot more understanding than we think, right? But maybe his classmates will go, oh, what's this kid doing with the Tourette's, etc. The tic, they won't even know it's Tourette's. With the tics, is this kid's kind of weird, etc. Because it happened to me. People thought that's him. But as the class goes on, what happens is that they have to sweat together. They have to work together. They have to overcome technical training together, wrestle or do jiu-jitsu or throw each other. And ultimately, they need to go over challenges together. And what happens is that slowly that child becomes a teammate. So regardless, if the child becomes, with the Tourette's, becomes the best kid in the class, and I say, wow, look at Tommy or Sarah, wow, they're the best kid in the class, or the worst kid in the class. And then maybe they have a mentor who says, hey, Tommy, Sarah, I'm going to help you learn your arm bar or your uchimata or your double leg better, right? They're going to start becoming part of a team. And I think it's very important because socially for children, Tourette's is very hard. And I think with grappling, they're sweating together, they're fighting, because that's what kids do in the end of the day. Kids sometimes have to get bruised. They have to learn about winning. They have to definitely learn about losing, learning how to get back up when they fall down, and building confidence they need to live their life and they deserve in the real world. Now, in conclusion, in no way am I saying that practicing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, wrestling, judo, any type of grappling art will cure Tourette's, but it can dramatically make a positive difference in the severity of Tourette's, as well as increase the confidence in someone who has Tourette's, so that they have the confidence to deal with the situations they're going to have to deal in the outside world, which is going to happen. I mean, people see someone ticking. A lot of people are not educated, or maybe they think the person's on drugs, etc. And it's a crappy way to live your life, but it's gonna happen. I mean, it's the elephant in the room. I have tics. People see me all the time, and a lot of people make fun of it, and they don't. At the end of the day, I can only control what I am inside, right? And grappling training definitely helped me in that part. For years I didn't even tell people I grappled, right? But it did. Now, I definitely like to say out. I hope the general scientific community, as well as Tourette community of neurologists or psychiatrists, psychologists, should take a look at the use of grappling-based martial arts for treatment of Tourette's and improvement of overall quality of life for those suffering from Tourette's. I've been trying for so long to go to doctors and tell people about this, and none of them listen. They laugh at it. I don't know if they laugh at it, but they just brush it aside. And I think there's some really serious research that needs to go there, because I'm wondering what's happening in my brain. Why is it that I'm not ticking after a hard grappling match? Is it because my brain thinks I'm in a fight or flight? Can we replicate that in a chemical form for pills to help people? No one is doing. I've sent letters. I have an article but on my website, grapplezilla.com. I'll put it into the description of this video. No one listens. They say, hey, you can put something on our blog where it tells about people overcoming Tourette's, and that's great. But I want that somehow someone from the scientific community looks at this and says, something is happening here. How can we use this to maybe defeat this syndrome or help people with this syndrome, especially children? Because like when I was a kid, I had no idea. I was ticking. Like, I didn't even know there was Tourette syndrome. And I used to think, wow, what the hell is wrong with me? And I would get so angry, and then I'd get onto the wrestling mat and use that anger. But, so many people with Tourette's are going through the hardest fight you can imagine each and every day. Now, grappling will give them the gift of dealing with life's hits, and when they get knocked down, they'll get right back up, brush the dust off their shoulders, and move forward with confidence. Now, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow my channel. We have a lot of techniques, not just a guy talking with tics. And we'll help with all types of grappling, including wrestling, jiu-jitsu, judo, sambo, chidawa, but even self-defense we'll put in there. And also, if you could share this video, it would really mean a lot to me, and I think people in Tourette's community as well as the grappling community. You know, grappling has a lot of benefits. Jiu-Jitsu has a lot of benefits. Wrestling has a ton of benefits. And it isn't just physical. It builds us as human beings. And I think it's very important to share this, because maybe someone from the Tourette community will contact me. I don't even need them to contact me. Read my article, maybe it has a light bulb that says, holy, you know, I have this research. This guy who was doing jiu-jitsu and wrestling, something was happening there. And if we can emulate that, maybe we can solve this. So anyways, have a great day. And if you see someone with tics, you know, it's someone with Tourette's. And until then, grab, throw, and tap, and just train your grappling art and enjoy.